I want to draw a celebrity, but I can't find my pens and pencils. Now what do? First step, find yourself a monkey and wrestle a couple of fresh nanas off him. Then scare up a band-aid and cleave that sucker in twain. Slap the butchered remains down next to your stockpile of potassium and garnish with a couple of small candy bananas. Then grab any old pencil eraser and spruce up one side of it with some thought-provoking graffiti. What, you don't think this looks enough like a famous face? Okay then, how about this? Flip it upside down and give it a splash of color, specifically some subcutaneous hematoma blue, a dash of melamine milkshake white, a touch of 9-foot vampire lipstick red, and a generous dollop of high fructose annoying orange. Finally, we add a squiggle here, a squoggle there, and boom! Now can you tell me who this is?
Coming to you from beautiful downtown Fortitude Valley, it's the Harry Gold Show, with your host, Harry Gold.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the program. A little while ago, I found this book by an artist named Hanoch Piven, who makes minimalist caricatures of famous people, incorporating real found objects into the illustrations. I thought this was pretty neat, so I decided to try it out for myself. I'll steal it! No one will ever know! Here's that face from the cold open again. Looks kind of familiar, doesn't it? I'll give you 5 seconds to shout your guess at the screen before I tell you who it is.
That is cheating for Columbus.
If you guessed that this was an Oompa Loompa from Jersey Shore, I'm afraid you are mistaken. This is, in fact, Donald J. Trump. You may know him as the 45th President of the United States, the original host of The Apprentice, and occasionally Vince McMahon's barber. Let's try making another face. To kick this one off, we want this brush to turn its back on us like Star Trek turned its back on making good TV shows. What object should go next? Oh, I just had an idea. Then we go disgruntled French prole on some pens to make up the remainder. Can you see a famous face yet? No? Oh, well, fine. Let's add some color to this one as well. Ugh, so demanding. First, we're going to slop down some Caucasoid flesh tone, followed by a mess of varicose blue as our backdrop. We'll save some dosh on white paint by using negative space instead, then add some unidentifiable roadkill brown to make the shading. Throw in one more streak of coal miner's lung, and voila! We've got another face. Can you tell who it is? If you guessed this was Mr. Peanut dressed as the Tin Man, then I'm afraid you were a little off. This is, in fact, Pope Francis, head of the Catholic Church, sovereign of the Vatican City State, and the only pontiff to play Undertale. At least that's what I'd like to believe. To make this next face, the first thing I'm going to do is throw down a rubber glove, which incidentally is how you officially declare a duel with a lunch lady. Then put down some matches like so, gut a TV remote and add its entrails, and stage a surprise return for those candy bananas, even though critics will say it's just empty fan service. Now it's color time. We'll start with a puddle of Netflix trademark infringement red, followed by Fresh Depends white and Frostbitten Extremities black. There's also a healthy dose of not allowed to just call it flesh tone anymore, plus some Windows 95 grey and Obama's questionable fashion sense tan. Finish off with some day-old avocado brown and ta-da! If your guess was mummified Ted Danson, I'm afraid that's not quite right. This is David Lynch, creator of Twin Peaks, slightly bonkers director, and freelance weatherman. Alright, try this one on for size. The first thing we'll need here is a pear. A pear of what, you ask? To great comedic effect. Then we'll need another pear. Fresh or canned, you ask? A pair of pen lids, I reply, to uproarious peals of laughter. This face also calls for an eraser, but not the same one. We don't want to be accused of nepotism. Finally, fighting off the urge to make one more pear joke, we unbend a couple of paper clips and lay them down. After we've applied an undercoat, we'll start by slapping down some skin color asterisk. I'd like to be more inclusive here, but have you ever noticed there's not really a word for white skin tone? It's not quite pink or beige or peach. Get on that, Pantone. Anyway, next we slop down some Licorice Smile Grey, followed by Chris Brown and a drop more flesh tone. We'll follow up with Polar Bear in a Snowstorm White and Gangrene Black. Finish off with a touch of every single 80s computer beige, and we've now got a face. What does that look like to you? If you said it was the Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz after joining the cast of Wall Street, I'm afraid you are not quite there. This is, in fact, Bill Maher, longtime talk show host, one-time documentarian for some reason, and generally weird-looking dude. Step 1, light a match. Step 2, pyromania. Then I'll arrange the incinerated aftermath like so. As for color, we're going to slam down a healthy dose of Vulcan crime scene blue before following up with a large dab of hypothermic azure and streaking it out on the sides. And a couple of malformed rectangles of Rebecca Black complete the picture. What does this look like to you? you guessed that this was Bernie Sanders reincarnated as a koala bear, you were close, but not quite correct. This is, in fact, Larry David, star of Curb Your Enthusiasm, co-creator of Seinfeld, and progenitor of many a meme compilation. How about this then? The banana, that most versatile of facial features, makes its triumphant comeback, alongside its little sugary cousin. But you know how this goes by now, we're not done yet. We'll start with some globs of curious yellow. This person doesn't actually have jaundice, to be clear. Just go to your local supermarket checkout, find a fine art major, and ask them what fauvism is, then it'll all make sense. Add nose candy white, weak mindset blue, Evenette Niage, and a bunch of alien grey. Finish off with some detailing, and now we have a face. Do you know who it is? If you guessed Lurch from the Addams Family in a B. Arthur wig, you were close, but no cigarillo. This is John Kerry, attempted President of the United States, current government official, and a vigorously mundane human being. The first step this time is to burn some toast well beyond the point of inedibility. If your toaster is anything like every single toaster I've ever had, most of the settings will do the trick first try. Then we get our handy bread and butter knife and set to scraping, like your grandma that doesn't want to waste the hunk of Pepperidge Farm she just turned into charcoal. Now we're gonna violate the Geneva Convention on this piece of gummy candy. I mean, just go Jack the Ripper on that chunk. Then we'll take a couple of bits of what's left and lay them delicately on our toast. Next we'll dribble in a swatch of Jennifer Grey and scroll a couple rectangles in unmarked Van Black. Then doop doop, we've got our guy. Can you tell who it's supposed to be? If you guessed that this was Powdered Toast Man after letting himself go, I'm afraid you weren't quite correct. This is Kim Jong-un, North Korean dictator, Dennis Rodman's favorite pen pal, and the kid whose high school yearbook voted him most likely to be assassinated by his sister. First, throw down a sock, then lay upon that sock a bread knife. Off to the side, drop in a meat tenderizer and 2 clothes pegs. To the other side, another meat tenderizer and 2 more clothes pegs. Put it all together, and what have you got? Well, a sock, a knife, 2 meat tenderizers, and some clothes pegs. But what if we add colour? Start with a blotch of Betty White, follow with a couple of streaks of feeling self-superior about using dark mode black, then we crack out a little more Betty and a little more dark mode. We'll also have to slather on a bunch of naked mole rat, drop more of this, touch more of that, and boom, who we got? If you guessed Cynthia Nixon, you are halfway there. This is Richard Nixon, former President of the United States, popular head in a jar, and perhaps, most significantly, cast member of the Watchmen. To start with, we throw down a couple of fat, meaty sausages. Then we lay down a handful of raisins. Who wouldn't want a big, greasy kiss from that face? Then we're going to lay down a coat of disgusting shaved cat. We'll follow up with a streak of smoker's teeth tan and an absolute monsoon of roachback brown. Doodle in some finer details, then absolutely destroy the remaining space with I forgot to use up the cream cheese green. And now, who do you suppose that is? If you guessed that it's Kathy Griffin before she's put her makeup on, you were close, but not quite there. This is Steven Tyler, hit musician, father of some elf chick, and second most unusual looking member of Aerosmith. And those are all the faces we have time for today. Worry not, we run a responsible show here, so none of the food used will go to waste. I'm very much looking forward to having a banana, pear, and sausage smoothie. Let's play a game. I'll draw someone famous, and the first 3 people to guess who it is in the comments will get a shout out when I tell you the answer in the next episode. If you thought last time we went a little overboard, you might have picked the caricature as Goldie Hawn. There's no control in Danny Nolan, who once again has taken the top spot. The bubonic J caught on quick, making second, and I hope Overdecks will be over the moon to learn they landed third. Well done everyone, thanks for playing. This week's subject has eyes so droopy and watery, a casual onlooker might confuse them for overripe zucchinis and try and use them in a ratatouille. Their nose is bulbous in form and grandiose in stature, as if Farmer Jones went and planted his prized turnips right in the middle of their face. Meanwhile, this person's pursed chops and paltry overbite are mannerisms adopted in a clear homage to one of Western media's most influential figures, Johnny Tightlips. Now, I wouldn't say this person has overly big ears, just that with wind resistance from jug handles like those, jumping out of a plane wouldn't necessitate a parachute. Now who could this be? If you know who that was, let us know in the comments. Most channels only read your name out if you dump a bunch of money into their Patreon account. We accept payment in the form of validation. But this has been the Harry Gold Show. So until next time, stay safe, and God bless.